Welcome to my mind mapping of global economy and international business class. My name is Nurlena from Executive MBA class of September 2021 IPMI Business School. In this global economy class, we have two lecturers, Professor Roy Sembel and Dr. Yulita Susanti. Behind me, this is my mind mapping. So let us walk through it by slide. Let me share it first. Yes, this is my mind mapping. In the beginning, Professor Roy showed us this picture. It tells us about long history of global economy, rising and falling of countries because of the technology, complacency, and people learn from their mistake, and then they rise again. And if we talk about global economy, we talk about GDP, which stands for Gross Domestic Product. It is often cited in newspaper, on the television news, and in report by government, central bank, and the business community. It has become widely used as a reference point for the health of national and global economies. PPP GDP is gross domestic product converted to international dollar using purchasing power parity rates. An international dollar has the same purchasing power over GDP as the US dollar has in the United States. GDP per capita is a measurement of the approximate value of a country gross domestic product contributed by each member of its population. A high GDP per capita usually correlates with a high standard of living, although GDP per capita is highly sensitive to variation in population size. New economy. Old economy plus globalization bring new economy. New economy have three pillars: better customer service, cost reduction, and transparency and competition. And we learn about the international monetary and financial system. International monetary system is the institutional framework, rules, and procedure by which national currency are exchanged for one another. Global financial system is the collection of financial institutions that facilitate and regulate the flow of investment and capital fund worldwide. It includes the national and international banking system, the international bond market, and national stock market. Growing integration of financial and monetary global activity is due to evolution of monetary and financial regulation worldwide, emergence of new technology and payment system in global finance, increased global and regional interdependence of financial market, and growing role of single currency system. And in 2008, a major crisis emerged in the global financial and monetary system. In Indonesia, global finance crisis happened in 1997. And then next, we learn about what drives international trade. The fundamental force that generates trade between nations is comparative advantage. The basis for comparative advantage is divergent opportunity cost between countries. National comparative advantage is the ability of a nation to perform an activity or produce a good or service at a lower opportunity cost than any other nation. And also there is absolute advantage. If your country uses fewer resources to produce a given unit of output than the other country. And we learn about supply and demand. When supply meets demand, we have equilibrium price. And when a tariff is imposed, foreign producers can still increase their share of the market by becoming more efficient. Productivity increases by foreigners, allow them to lower their price and gain more of the market. When a quota is imposed, no matter how efficient foreign producers became, they cannot increase their share of the market. all future increase in the size of the market go to domestic producer. And what is the meaning of international business? Domestic business is a business that acquire all its resources and sell its product or service within a single country. International business is a business that is primarily based in a single country but acquire some meaningful share of its resources or revenue for both from other countries. Multinational business is one that has a worldwide marketplace from which it buys raw materials, borrow money, and manufacture its product, and to which it subsequently sells its product. And last is global business. It's a business that transcends national boundaries and is not committed to single home country. And we learn about risk in international business and consists of currency risk, commonly referred to as exchange rate risk, arise from the change in price of one currency in relation to another. And country risk, also known as political risk, refers to potentially adverse effect on company operation and profitability caused by development in the political, legal, and economic environment in a foreign country. Country risks include the possibility of a foreign government intervention in firm business activities. Cross-cultural risks arising from difference in language, lifestyle, attitude, custom, and religion, where a cultural miscommunication jeopardies a culturally value mindset or behavior. Commercial risk refer to the firm potential loss or failure from poorly developed or executed business strategy, tactic, or procedure. And essential of successful global firm consists of organizational culture, organizational process, organizational structure, strategy, and visionary leadership. As for strategy, there are 4 strategies emerging from the framework. One is home replication strategy. Products are designed for domestic customer, and international business is pursued mainly to extend the life of domestic product and replicating home market success. Example, Netflix and Starbucks. Second is multi-domestic strategy or localization strategy. Product and service are adapted to suit the needs and want of buyer in each country. Example, 7-Eleven and Nestle. Global strategy, products, marketing, and company practice are relatively standardized with little adjustment to local preference. Example, Pizza Hut and Domino. And the last is transnational strategy, a coordinated approach to internationalization in which the firms strive to be more responsive to local needs while retaining sufficient central control of operation to ensure efficiency and learning. Example, Unilever and Coca-Cola. And then we learn about competitive advantages of nation. And the source of prosperity are inherited prosperity and created prosperity. And in the last week before final exam, we learned that in Indonesia, it's better to sell in August, buy in November, than sell in May and go away. So that's all my mind mapping. Hope you enjoy it and see you in another my mind mapping. Thank you and bye.